Emily Harper's hands froze mid-chop, the kitchen knife hovering over a half-sliced onion, as a sharp pang shot through her lower back, a cruel reminder of a 9-month pregnancy, and the chilling realization that if her water broke right now, her husband Michael Carter wouldn't be there to help, leaving her to face the terror of labor alone. The thought sent a shiver down her spine, her heart pounding as she glanced at the clock, 6:47 p.m., knowing Michael would be home any minute, expecting dinner on the table, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her. At 34, Emily was about to become a mother for the first time, a milestone that filled her with both joy and dread, the latter fueled by Michael's growing indifference, a shadow that had darkened their 3-year marriage with every passing day. A white-collar worker with weekends off, Michael spent every Saturday and Sunday at his parents' house just a few miles away, leaving Emily to fend for herself, even as her belly swelled and her body ached under the strain of carrying their child. He never offered to help with the shopping, the cleaning, or the heavy lifting, tasks she'd been forced to manage alone, her friends stepping in to carry bags of rice or gallons of water when her doctor warned against straining herself. Emily's days were a grueling cycle of domestic duties, waking at dawn to prepare breakfast for Michael, seeing him off to work with a forced smile, then diving into cleaning, laundry, and grocery shopping, her swollen feet throbbing as she hauled bags up the stairs, only starting dinner prep after everything else was done, her one moment of rest coming late at night when she could finally sit down. Since taking maternity leave, she'd found solace in a new hobby: blogging, pouring her heart into daily diaries, snapping photos of her simple meals, the pale blue sky outside her window, or the daisies blooming in her small garden, her friends' comments on her posts a lifeline of connection in an otherwise lonely routine. But tonight, as the smell of sizzling burgers filled the kitchen, Emily's mind wasn't on her blog or the flowers. It was on the growing distance between her and Michael, a chasm that seemed to widen with every careless word, every thoughtless act, leaving her to wonder if this was what marriage was supposed to feel like, or if she'd been fooling herself all along. The front door creaked open, and Michael stepped inside, his briefcase and jacket slung carelessly onto the sofa, the fabric crumpling under the weight as he kicked off his shoes, leaving them scattered in the entryway. Emily bit her lip, her hands already moving to tidy up after him, a habit born from years of his disregard. "Welcome back," she said, her voice softer than she meant, trying to mask the exhaustion in her bones. "I made burgers for dinner, I'm going to take a bath." Michael barely glanced at her, his eyes fixed on his phone as he grunted, "Fine," before heading straight for the bathroom. His curt response a dagger in her chest, a stark reminder of the man he'd become, or perhaps the man he'd always been, hidden beneath the charm that had once swept her off her feet. 3 years of marriage had stripped away the illusion, leaving behind a reality where kindness and consideration were as rare as a sunny day in winter, and Emily found herself questioning everything. Had she made a mistake marrying him, or was this just the inevitable drift of time, the slow erosion of love under the weight of daily life? When Michael emerged in his pajamas, his hair damp from the shower, Emily handed him a glass of soda, her hands trembling slightly from the effort of holding herself together, but he glanced at the bar, his brow furrowing. "Where's the beer?" "I'm sorry," Emily said, her voice small, her heart sinking. "I forgot to buy it today. I'll get some tomorrow." Michael's demeanor shifted in an instant, his face darkening with a rage that made her stomach twist. "Seriously? Go to the convenience store now." Emily's irritation flared, a spark of defiance igniting in her chest. Why was he asking his pregnant wife to do this, when he could see how hard it was for her to even stand for too long? "If you want it so badly, why don't you go get it yourself?" she snapped, her voice sharper than she intended. "It's hard for me to move with this big belly." Michael's eyes narrowed, his voice rising to a shout that echoed through the small house. "You're the one who forgot. It's your job to fix that mistake. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you get special treatment. My mom always said it's good to keep moving for your health. Don't use the baby as an excuse." His words hit her like a slap, the mention of his mother, Patricia Carter, a woman who'd never hidden her disdain for Emily, adding salt to the wound, and Emily felt the familiar sting of tears behind her eyes, but she blinked them back, knowing Michael's temper wouldn't cool easily once it flared. Reluctantly, she grabbed her coat, her movements slow and deliberate, each step a reminder of the weight she carried, both in her body and in her heart, as she waddled to the convenience store, the cool night air doing little to soothe the fire of resentment burning inside her. At the store, she bumped into her neighbor Jessica Bennett, a kind woman in her late 40s whose warm smile was a balm to Emily's frayed nerves. Hey, Emily, good evening. Did you forget something too? I ran out of sauce. Emily forced a smile, her voice cracking as she admitted. Michael really wanted beer and told me to buy it. Jessica's brow furrowed, her tone laced with concern. Why didn't he go himself? You're 9 months pregnant. That's not right. I said the same thing, Emily replied, her throat tightening. But it didn't get through, he got so angry. Jessica's eyes softened with sympathy. It sounds like you're having a tough time, Emily. I'm so sorry. And for a moment, as they walked together, Emily felt a flicker of hope, a reminder that she wasn't completely alone. They parted ways at a crossroad, and Emily returned home, her arms aching from the weight of the beer, only to find Michael sprawled on the sofa, the dinner table still a mess, the burgers she'd worked so hard on sitting untouched. Why did it take you so long? He grumbled, his voice thick with irritation. What were you doing, wandering around? Give me the beer. His disgruntled tone and insensitive words cut deeper than ever, each syllable a reminder of how little he valued her, how little he saw her struggle, and Emily handed him the beer without a word, her hand shaking as she began cleaning up the kitchen, the clatter of dishes a hollow soundtrack to her breaking heart. How could he treat her like this, especially now, when she was carrying their child, when she needed him most? The question gnawed at her, a wound that wouldn't heal, and as she ate her cold dinner alone, the silence of the house pressing in around her, she felt the weight of her loneliness like a physical thing, a heavy cloak she couldn't shake off. She took a long bath, the warm water doing little to ease the tension in her body, and as she climbed into bed, the empty space beside her a stark reminder of Michael's absence. Not just physically, but emotionally, a void that had grown too wide to bridge. Tomorrow, she knew, he'd act as if nothing had happened, his temper forgotten after a good night's sleep, but Emily couldn't forget, couldn't erase the sting of his words, the cruelty of his demands, and as she lay there, her hand resting on her belly, feeling the faint kick of her baby, she wondered how much more she could take before something inside her finally snapped. Emily Harper sat alone at the dining table, the untouched burgers she'd spent hours preparing now cold and congealed, her heart sinking as the clock ticked past 8 p.m. Each passing minute a silent scream that Michael Carter, her husband of 3 years, had once again chosen his parents over her, leaving her to face the looming terror of childbirth alone. The memory of his harsh words from the night before, "Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you get special treatment," echoed in her mind, a cruel reminder of how little he cared, and as her baby kicked inside her, a sharp reminder of her 9-month pregnancy, Emily felt a growing dread that this was only the beginning of a storm she couldn't escape. The morning had started with a jarring interruption, a call from Michael's mother, Patricia Carter, her voice dripping with accusation. "How can you not serve Michael a proper meal? This feels like moral harassment, if not worse." Emily's stomach twisted, her hands gripping the phone as she tried to explain. "He came home unexpectedly. I only made food for myself because he said he wouldn't be here." But Patricia cut her off, her tone icy. "That's no excuse. You're his wife. You should be prepared for anything." The words stung, Patricia's judgment a familiar weapon, and Emily found herself apologizing, her voice small. "I'm sorry, I'll do better," before ending the call, her mood plummeting as the weight of their disapproval settled on her shoulders like a lead blanket. With Michael gone, likely sulking at his parents' house after storming out the night before, Emily decided to treat herself to a late brunch, the quiet of the house a strange relief after the chaos of his presence. But the thought of him returning that evening loomed over her like a dark cloud, his temper unpredictable, his criticism relentless. Determined to avoid another fight, she resolved to make dinner special, a peace offering she hoped might soften his edges, and she headed to the grocery store, her swollen feet aching with every step as she carefully selected fresh ingredients, ripe tomatoes, crisp lettuce, a perfectly marbled steak, and added Michael's favorite beer to the cart, her mind racing with the need to prove herself, to earn the praise she so desperately craved. Back home, she poured her heart into the meal, chopping, searing, and seasoning with a precision born of desperation, the kitchen filling with the rich aroma of garlic and rosemary, the table set with a care that made it look like a special occasion, complete with a small vase of daisies from her garden, their white petals a quiet symbol of the hope she clung to. She glanced at the clock, 6:30 p.m., and felt a flicker of pride as she surveyed her work, whispering to herself, "With this, he should be satisfied." Her hands smoothing her apron as she waited in the dining room, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and fear. But as the minutes turned to hours, there was no sign of Michael, her calls going straight to voicemail, her texts unanswered, each unanswered ring tightening the knot in her chest. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3, the clock ticking past 9 p.m., the steak growing cold, the beer sweating on the table, her worry morphing into a gnawing anxiety that something was wrong. By midnight, her fear had escalated to panic, her fingers hovering over the emergency number as she considered calling the police, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Had he been in an accident, or was he just ignoring her, punishing her for some imagined slight? Just as she was about to dial, the front door burst open, and Michael staggered inside, his eyes glassy, his breath reeking of whiskey. "I'm home," he slurred, collapsing in the hallway, his body a heap on the floor. Emily rushed to his side, her heart in her throat. "What happened? Are you okay?" But he snapped, his voice a drunken snarl. "Too loud, go away," shaking off her hand when she tried to help. "Don't touch me, don't come near me with that ugly face, to think you're my wife." His words sliced through her, sharper than any knife, and as he lay there, sprawled on the floor, Emily's tears welled up, her carefully prepared dinner untouched, her efforts wasted, the loneliness wrapping around her like a suffocating fog, the weight of his cruelty crushing the last of her hope. The next morning, Michael woke as if nothing had happened, rubbing his temples. "My head hurts. I guess I drank too much. Why did you leave me in the hallway?" Emily's voice was flat, her patience worn thin. "You chose to lie down there. It's not my fault." "Aren't you my wife?" he shot back, his tone accusatory. "At least take care of me when I'm drunk. If you weren't going to eat at home, you could have let me know. I made a nice meal, called you multiple times. Why didn't you answer?" Michael shrugged, his indifference a slap in the face. "My drinking party from the day before got rescheduled. Do I have to report everything? You know how hard it is to pick up the phone during a gathering. Think about my situation." His words chilled her to the bone, her expectations of him fading with every excuse, and she felt a shift inside her, a decision to stop hoping, to stop feeling hurt, whispering to herself, "I'm taking a break. I'm going to my parents tomorrow. Being with you feels unpleasant and boring." Michael's attitude only hardened her resolve, his dismissive sneer a final straw. "Do whatever you want," he muttered, heading to the bathroom, leaving her to clean up the mess of his drunken return, her mind racing with thoughts of escape, of a life where she and her baby could be free of his neglect. As her due date approached, Emily's excitement to meet her child battled with the fear of labor, her neighbor's encouragement. "It's just a little while longer." A small comfort against the growing tension in her marriage, but Michael's next suggestion caught her off guard, his voice casual as he lounged on the sofa. "Want to go on a family trip soon? My mom and dad want to join." Emily blinked, stunned, her heart racing with disbelief. "A family trip? With your parents?" She'd never gotten along with Stephen and Patricia Carter, who always blamed her for Michael's shortcomings, their judgment a constant thorn in her side, like the phone call incident that still stung. But Michael brushed off her concerns. "How many times do I have to tell you? Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you're sick. My parents are inviting us. It'll be fine, everything's decided. We'll go for 2 nights and 3 days next week." "Next week is my due date," Emily protested, her voice rising with panic, her hands instinctively cradling her belly. "What if something happens?" "It'll be fine," Michael snapped, his tone final. "Just do as you're told. Prepare for the trip," end of discussion. Leaving the room as Emily's heart pounded, her mind spinning with worry, the thought of traveling so close to labor filling her with dread. The next day, she confided in a close friend, her voice trembling as she explained. "He wants to go on this trip with his parents. I'm due next week, I can't risk it." And her friend's eyes widened in horror. "That's too much, Emily. You need to say no." But the trip day arrived before she could find a way out, Michael's insistence unrelenting. "I'm not feeling well today," she tried, her voice weak. "I'm worried about the baby. I'll rest at home." He wasn't convinced, his tone sharp. "You can rest in the car, you'll be fine, right? Come on, bring the luggage. We're heading to my parents' house. Hurry up." As they loaded the car, Emily sat in the passenger seat, her nerves frayed, when a sudden warmth spread at her feet. She looked down, her eyes widening in horror. "Oh my water broke." She turned to Michael, her voice urgent. "Michael, my water just broke. Please take me to the hospital, quick." He froze, his face pale. "Are you serious?" Yes, I'm serious. The baby might be coming, we need to go now. As she tried to clean the water with a towel, Michael yanked open the passenger door, his voice a furious shout. Get out, you're going to make a mess in the car. Emily's jaw dropped, her heart stopping. What are you saying? I said get out, I need to clean the car, he roared, forcibly pulling her out, leaving her on the sidewalk. We were supposed to be on a family trip. Just go to the hospital by yourself. Emily called after him. Wait, how can you leave me here like this? But he drove off, abandoning her as her contractions began, her world shattering around her, the pain in her body nothing compared to the betrayal in her heart. Emily Harper stood trembling on the sidewalk, her water broken, contractions rippling through her 9-month pregnant body, as the taillights of Michael Carter's car disappeared into the night. His abandonment a final, shattering blow that left her alone in the darkness, her heart racing with a mix of fear and fury. She swore in that moment, as the first wave of labor pain hit, that he would pay for this betrayal, no matter what it took. Overwhelmed, her hands shaking as she clutched her belly, Emily fumbled for her phone to dial an ambulance, her vision blurring with tears, when a familiar voice broke through her panic. Emily, are you okay? It was Jessica Bennett, her neighbor, her face etched with concern as she rushed to Emily's side, quickly assessing the situation and arranging a special taxi. We need to get you to the hospital, now. Jessica held Emily's hand the entire ride, her voice a steady comfort. You're going to be okay, I've got you, and Emily, tears streaming down her face, whispered, I'll make him pay for this, her resolve hardening even as the pain intensified. At the hospital, Jessica stayed by her side, contacting Emily's parents, Robert and Linda Harper, who arrived with worry etched into their faces, Jessica whispering to them, There's something I want to discuss, before stepping out, leaving Emily in the care of her family as labor took over. As the contractions grew stronger, Emily's phone vibrated, Michael's name flashing on the screen, his voice panicky, Help me. But she ended the call, her parents turning off her phone as his messages flooded in, her focus narrowing to the delivery room where, after hours of grueling pain, she heard her baby's cries, a wave of relief washing over her as she saw her parents and Jessica smiling warmly, their presence a lifeline in the storm. Exhausted, she closed her eyes, waking hours later to find her parents beside her. Are you okay? Linda asked gently, Robert's eyes teary as Linda consoled him. The postpartum period can be exhausting. How's the baby? Emily asked, her voice weak, and they reassured her. She's undergoing tests but will be back soon. Jessica left a little while ago. Emily turned on her phone to share the news, finding dozens of missed calls from Michael, but she ignored them, her resolve firm, her heart no longer open to his excuses. A friend, Megan Foster, visited, congratulating her with a warm hug, and Emily opened up about Michael's actions, her voice trembling as she recounted the abandonment, Megan's eyes widening in shock before she revealed. I posted about it online. A follower saw it happen, recorded it, blurred your face for privacy, and shared it with my permission. It's gone viral, Emily, Michael's name, his company, everything's out there, and people are furious. The video had exposed Michael's cruelty, sparking a firestorm of criticism, and when one of his friends confronted him, Michael's excuse, I had a prior travel commitment with my parents, only fueled the backlash, dragging Stephen and Patricia Carter into the fray, their reputation crumbling as the story spread through their community. On discharge day, Emily's fear of facing Michael and his parents outside the hospital was palpable, but as she stepped out with her parents, Michael's voice shouted, Emily! Followed by Stephen and Patricia's angry demands, only to be stopped by men in black suits who surrounded her, one saying, We're here on Sir's request to protect you. Her parents smiled, Didn't we tell you there's nothing to worry about? And Emily later learned Jessica was married to Thomas Bennett, the CEO of Michael's company, a fact Michael never knew due to his disinterest in their neighbors. Jessica had told Thomas, who disciplined Michael, leading to his job loss, inability to pay his housing loan, and return to his parents' home, his reputation ruined by the viral video. Emily mailed divorce papers, but Michael and his parents resisted, Stephen and Patricia calling Robert. She became part of our family, she shouldn't complain, prompting Robert to hang up in anger, their entitlement a bitter reminder of their role in Michael's behavior. Consulting a lawyer recommended by her father, Emily shared the video and past events. The lawyer confronting Michael, who initially refused, We'll solve marital issues ourselves, but agreed to divorce when court was mentioned, denying child support, I have no interest in the child. A supervised call followed, Michael begging, apologize and come back. The house is a mess. I might lose my job. Everyone's looking at me coldly. It's your fault. But Emily revealed, this conversation is being recorded. I'll keep it as evidence, hanging up as he panicked, the evidence securing her divorce, property distribution, and child support. Michael's parents faced social ostracism, their once pristine reputation in tatters, living in unease as neighbors whispered about their role in the scandal, while Emily, her health restored, visited Jessica with her parents and baby to express gratitude, their families growing close, Jessica and Linda becoming friends, Thomas and Robert bonding, and Jessica's son, close to Emily's age, sparking an unexpected romance. Years later, Emily smiled at the thought of joining Jessica's family, her new life with her daughter filled with love and support, a perfect ending to a painful journey, her heart finally at peace as she looked forward to a future where she and her child could thrive, free from the shadows of Michael's neglect, proving that even the darkest storms could lead to the brightest dawns.